Hey guys, Brian Stevens here with the National Real Estate Post. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Hope you saw that F1 race down in Austin, Texas. That was something. College football was great. The pros were unbelievable, and all these are distractions to the things that we need to be doing right now in our business. So let's make it a great week. We're starting out today on Monday, and this is going to be fantastic. Now, I want to get this out up front. If you want to talk about joining a fantastic team, that would be mine and Craig Barton's team over at the Loan Factory. I would love to have a conversation with you. We are doing things fundamentally differently. In part, we're reading the tea leaves of what the direction the industry is going to go. If you watch me with any regularity, you hear me talk about that all the time. But every market requires a different approach. And if you have the wrong approach, it's kind of like a batter with a hole in his swing. If he has a hole in his swing, the pitcher's always going to throw that ball where the bat's not going to be. Well, right now in your business, you need to go ahead and put your bat right where the ball's going to be and start hitting some more home runs. Because as one of my good friends says, Suzanne Peters, she said that, loan officers and real estate agents, sometimes we just need a victory. Just any victory. Give us a victory, especially in difficult markets. So today we're going to talk about some of the things that are going to give you the victories that you're looking for. And I got to tell you, I am excited about this week because I'm finally seeing what should have happened a couple years ago starting to actually happen today. And we've got qualifiable proof to prove this to you. So let's start over here. First of all, if you're not a member of Mortgage Shots, go to Mortgage Shots, hit subscribe. You'll get my daily show. It's going to be 5 to 7 minutes, kind of an abbreviated version of what we're doing here. We'll send it to you. We're not going to spam you, and we aren't going to sell your information. And of course, if you like what you're seeing, share this with anybody else that you know right now. Next point over here, just because I'm doing this and I'm super excited about this. Do you guys ever remember these Polish Glumpkins? Well, I'm going to be making these Polish Glumpkins today, and I can't wait. This is what I'm going to be doing for the second half or the remainder of my afternoon. But seeing as you're not terribly interested in eating Polish Glumpkins, let's go right into the news and talk about things that are taking place right now. Okay, so this graph is going to show you right now, everybody is buying gold. Okay, by the way, so rates technically, if we're to look at previous analytics, you would think that rates would be wanting to go up right now because you see other markets, foreign markets across the country, they are dropping bonds, they are dropping T-bills, and they are dropping buying mortgage-backed securities like nobody's business. And a graph that, frankly, I don't have right now, I'll see if I can get it for you, is how much gold the Chinese have bought over the past couple of months, and the numbers are absolutely staggering. So off the cuff, nobody right now is buying real estate. That's traditionally considered an inflation hedge. And right now we're sitting at a 30-year low. Now, why is that? Why is everybody saying that gold, we pull gold out of the ground and then we shove it right back in the ground? You do realize that's what we're doing. We're creating scarcity. And gold as a monetary system, it doesn't have any more implicit value than anything else, including the United States dollar. The only thing that's tangible and is a hedge against inflation is buying real estate. Now, why is that? It's very simple, and oftentimes realtors and lenders forget to message their clients on this. But when you buy a house, on the day you buy that house, that is technically the most expensive or the most you're going to pay for that house on any given day because you will get raises going forward. And of course, if rates come down, you can always refinance down to that lower rate. And once you gain equity on top of fixing your housing expense inflation, you can always double or triple your real estate holdings, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Would it surprise you to hear that there is, 40-50% of the state of California who are sitting on 20, 30, 40% equity still, in spite of the fact that prices have been going down in most major metropolitan markets? Well, I'm telling people, don't buy a house in California where it's going to be $900,000 for a piece of junk. Go in the Midwest and buy some houses. Go to Lexington, Kentucky. Mike Shad, there's a shout out for you. Go to Indianapolis, Indiana. Mike Shad, probably still a shout out for you. Or you could go down to Louisiana or up in Buffalo, where you could put 20% down and it would only be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. You could do a cash out refinance on your primary residence, and you could do 2 or 3 DSCR loans right now in the Midwest, and you would have a positive cash flow that would offset the cash out refinance you did on your primary residence. And in the process of doing that, you've doubled, tripled, or quadrupled your real estate holdings. So listen, don't sleep on real estate right now because real estate is going to make a massive, massive recovery. However, and if you're thinking this right now, have we done all the following we're going to do? And the answer is emphatically not. So right now, we're starting to see a little bit more of this. Fed Governor Murin wants a half-point cut this month while Waller backs another quarter-point move. So there's a groundswell taking place right now in the Federal Reserve. And as we know, Jerome Powell is going to be gone very soon. And when he is gone, we are going to have a new head of the Fed, and that head of the Fed is going to be somebody who is aggressively going to cut rates. Now, the devil's in the detail, and sometimes you don't want to get what you ask for, right? Because a lot of the problems, and I've talked about this, that we're facing right now is we have a market that's based on 2% interest rates, and when you're sitting in the sixes, as they say south of the Mason-Dixon line, that dog don't hunt. Now, would it be good if we did get a quarter or a half-point cut? And the answer is emphatically yes. But here's the reason why, and again, if you watch my show with any regularity, you're going to understand this. If the Fed cuts the prime rate, it's not going to do anything to mortgage interest rates. They tend to go hand in hand, but did you notice the last time the Fed cut rates that interest rates actually went up? And of course, we talked about this on the show days prior to. I said, in a couple of days, the Feds are going to cut the rate, and we know the Fed fund rate is going to go down by a quarter to a half point, and I guarantee you on that day, rates are going to go up. Why is that? It's because the market always factors this crap in before it actually takes place. The one thing that the Fed does is, going back to my pitching analogy, what they do is they let you know it's coming right down the pike. They do. They go ahead and project exactly what's going to take place because they don't want to have instability in the markets. And so kind of hinting what's going to take place, which is what they've done for decades now, tends to be their modus operandi. Now, the reason why the Fed fund rate is going to be helpful is right now we have absorbently out of control debt to income ratios. Again, a talking point that we discuss on Mortgage Shots and the National Real Estate Post on a regular basis. That credit card payment, we're sitting at $2.8 trillion right now, $1.8 trillion in revolving debt. That should horrify you. It horrifies me. It's by far the highest amount of revolving debt we've ever held in the history of our country. And would it surprise you to learn that we're sitting at an average of a 28% interest rate, also the highest we've ever had on record? Here's the question I really want to ask myself is why aren't our regulators going after the credit card companies for usury? It's not the rate you're getting. It's not the amount the real estate agents are getting paid. It is paltry next to what these credit card companies are charging. But of course, it's a good old boys club, and that's not going to be the case. So Fed Governor Stephen Murin said Thursday that he plans to repeat his push for a 0.5 percentage point interest rate cut when the central bank meets later on this month. Governor Christopher Waller advocated for a 0.25% reduction at the meeting later this month, a position that appears more in line with the Fed's consensus. Meaning Jerome's probably going to give us a quarter. He's not going to give us a half. And that might bring you a little relief when it comes to your debt to income ratios and qualifying people. But what we need to see, and what we are seeing right now, is a massive and transformative change taking place in real estate right now. And I'm going to show it to you. This is crazy cool. Okay, before we get to that, let's look at this real quickly. Now, what we're looking at on the left-hand side are massive housing recessions. Okay, home sales dropping off a cliff. You see in 1978 what took place. We saw a peak, which is always how these things go. It's an ebb and flow, isn't it? It's an up and down. It vacillates, as every graph does. In 78, we saw, and keep in mind, back in 1978, we had a population density that was 100 million less than it is today. So, of course, we're going to see numbers of houses get larger as we progress and we move to our 380 million people who we currently have in this country. So in 1978, what did we see? We saw a massive jump in house sales and followed by an absolutely massive drop. To a lesser extent, we saw that in 1995. Now, 2009, of course, that was the big one, wasn't it? 2009 was after the massive subprime buildup. We had low interest rates, we had a booming economy, and then we had an everybody deserves to have a house mentality about things, and we created underwriting guidelines, which really facilitated that whole idea. Now, side note on this, which I find kind of interesting, is we didn't get rid of subprime loans. We didn't. What we did is we changed the rules of engagement. That's what we did. How did we do that, Brian? Well, what we did was we made it to where somebody who back in, let's say 2002, had a 580 credit score, now has a 680 credit score. Somebody who had a 680 credit score back then now has a 780 credit score. We have changed our credit reporting models to give everybody better credit scores in spite of the fact that their habits haven't changed at all. It just appeared, we all had that teacher in high school, Mr. Griswold. He gave everybody an A. Didn't mean I read the books. Some people did. They got an A. I didn't read them. I got an A too. So we understand how this whole thing kind of plays itself out. But changing the rules of engagement does not change what's taking place in the mortgage space. We still have a lot of people in this industry, and I'm going to show it to you right now, that frankly probably shouldn't have got the house in the first place. And when we give somebody a 50 DTI on the back end, meaning 50% of their gross income is going to be going towards their housing expense and their bills, nothing to do with their gas, electricity, food, travel, and all the other accoutrements out there, we're putting somebody in a position to fail, especially those on the lower rungs of the socioeconomic ladder, the underserved communities, oftentimes minority communities in this country. And the strange thing about a lot of down payment assistance that's geared towards people who have 80% of the median income in their area, now it's up to 100 to 120% because people make more money and houses are way too expensive. But they're the people who make the least amount of money who are putting into houses with the highest debt to income ratios. It's an absolute recipe for disaster. And it's the reason why all of our fulfillment that we've tried to do to serve underserved communities have failed miserably over the past 5 decades, in spite of the fact that we have put trillions, not billions, but trillions of philanthropic dollars into this through HUD and the GSEs. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Nevertheless, we find ourselves here right now. And of course, we saw our latest buildup in 2024. And what have we seen since then? We have seen something that resembles a collapse. Now, the 2 green arrows, I want you to notice this here. On the right-hand side, sorry about that, Grant. On the right-hand side, I want you to look at that black line. Okay, that black line is the unemployment rate index across different economic cycles. That black line is going to be our most recent economic cycle. And as you can tell, unemployment now is lower than it's been since any time since the late 60s. Now, how do we reconcile these 2 points? Why do we find ourselves in one of the most crushing housing markets right now, all the while our unemployment is at its lowest level in any recession cycle? These numbers don't reconcile. They do not work together. So what's going on? Well, there's a couple of things that are taking place right now. The first one is we have to look at those who have second jobs and third jobs. Okay, so we don't have a lot of people hiring right now, because a lot of our younger generations right now have to work 2 and even 3 jobs in order to space rent or share rent their housing expense with their friends and or their family. They simply can't afford to buy a house at the prices we have right now. That's a major problem that we're seeing, and that's one that we're going to have to overcome. The other problem is just very clear. Prices are too high. We've said that for a long time. Over here on the National Real Estate Post for the past couple of years, I said we need to take a 20 to 25% haircut on our prices on homes right now. We need to do that today. And of course, it's been a couple of years. And I said, listen, it's going to happen to us if we like it or not. This is going to happen. This is an inevitability. And what have we just seen? Well, we just saw that. Right here, check this one out. Man, this is absolutely massive, and I hate people who say I told you so, but I told you so. I really did tell you so a couple of years ago, and there's video proof, or there's evidence of me explaining this is exactly what's going to happen. And it had to start with the new homes. It had to start with new home subdivisions, because it's always going to be tailing when somebody has a previously existing house that they are emotionally connected to, and they're going to say, my house is worth more than that. I've gone to Zillow. I've seen it. I've raised my kids here. I put those cabinets in. I put that pool in. That pool cost me $50,000. I want $50,000 more because I put a $50,000 pool in. No, dude, you're getting $5,000 for that $50,000 pool. That was a bad idea. Redo your bathrooms and redo your kitchen. Put a little paint on and leave the damn thing alone. Nevertheless, getting back to the point, if we're going to see a massive across the board between pre-existing and new home construction, it's always going to start with new home construction. And what we have here is Lennar's average sales price is below the 2019 price. From Q3 2019 through the peak of Q3 2022, Lennar jacked up the average home price by 25%. Lennar has now given up the entire price. Yes, my friends, since 2022, we have seen new homes drop on average with Lennar by 22%, giving up almost all of that 25%. This is massive because Lennar, well, they are the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And you're going to find the likes of Sino. You're going to find the likes of Pulte. They're going to have to follow suit because they always build these houses in the same areas. And if I get a Lennar home that's going to be 25% less than a Pulte home, I'm going to Lennar every day of the week. And of course, having new homes drop their prices, this is going to put pressure on pre-existing homes to drop their prices too. In short, here's what my prediction is right now. Wait to see a 25% drop in pre-existing home prices. You're going to see interest rates drop because the Fed will follow suit with a little quantitative easing and they will increase their budget. Your debt to income ratios are going to go down a little bit. So refinances, purchases, and sales for you real estate agents out there who've got all of those sellers who are sitting on the fence, that's all going to start to happen. And it's happening right now. And I got to tell you, the ones who are feeling it are the people who are like on my team. Because these are the people that we seek out with my team, CB Loans over at the Loan Factory. We look at this stuff ad nauseum, and we tailor all of our marketing towards our agent, toward consumer direct, exactly in the areas we're going to find the most fruit. And there's a lot of loan officers and a lot of realtors who understand this. Of course, there are those who are looking on the outside in, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. And you need to put yourself with somebody who can read the tea leaves of the direction the market is going. We're already there and things are going to get better. And you know, there's another point that I thought was funny. Do you know how many hours it takes in California to get a real estate license? 135 hours. Before you can even take the test. 135 hours. It was at one point 20 hours. Then it moved up to 40 hours. It's 135 freaking hours. Now, if you're working a full-time job, when are you going to do that? I've done the math on this thing. It would take me at best 2 months to get this thing done if I looked at it absolutely every day. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up for a simple reason. We have seen wild attrition in real estate and mortgage lending over the past decade. And I got to tell you, I think it's been fantastic. A lot of the part-time agents, a lot of the looky-loos out there, a lot of the lonely housewives and stuff like that who get into real estate because it's a social event for them, they're gone. And what we're stuck with is a higher quality agent to work with. And you're stuck with a higher quality loan officer that you could work with as well. And because they've made the barriers to entry so difficult, we're not going to see our numbers get jacked up as they have in previous years. This is great for those who can make it through it. So you need to be one of the ones who can make it through it. And I'm telling you right now, a 25% reduction across the board from Lennar in the past 3 years, the rest of the market is going to have no choice whatsoever but to follow this. This, my friends, all of this stuff that I'm telling you right now is super exciting news. Now, the number of unsold completed homes, check this one out, for sale right now. We're at our highest level we have been since the Great Recession. And of course, that number is going to go up. And as the number of completed homes goes up, you're going to see the prices on these homes come down. Now, again, I don't want to get into politics on this at all. I don't care who you like. I was down in Walnut Creek for my 30th anniversary with my wife in Walnut Creek, California, and we ran into one of these crazy King Rally things. It was nutty, but whatever. I hope this administration does some of the stuff that they talked about in order to bring the price of homes down. Permitting is absolutely massive. Let's bring the price of permits down. Let's bring the acquisition of land prices down by using federal land that we've already got. Let's do that. And then let's put our thumb on some of these builders to keep building, because last time I checked, we're still 7 million or 5 years short of the type of inventory that we would need to have in order to get what we would deem to be a normal or a reasonable market. Now, I want to pull this up, and here's the reason why it's important. And I'm all over the board here, guys. I understand that. I want you to look at this. In 1950, married plus a home, owning a home by 30 years old. In 1950, 50% of our population owned a home when they were 30. A full 50 freaking percent. That number's massive. Now look at, we get up to 2000. That number went down to 35%. You see how our numbers continually, progressively go down. In the 1960s, it went up to 52% because that was after the war, and that was, when our economy was basically feeding the rest of the world combined, and we had a GDP that was 75% of the world's GDP. So yeah, that 52% makes sense. But what is really stark here that I want to impress upon you, and this is what you need to impress upon your clients. In 2025, that number went down to 12%. Now, is that a reasonable number for you, or have we created a haves and have-not type of economy? It's really haves and have-nots, right? It's those, we are in steerage. The vast majority of people are in steerage right now. When back in 1950, 50% of people owned homes. It's down to 12% now, and we've seen this steady decline. This number for the health of our economy has to change around, and everything that we're looking at today suggests that's going to be the case. Now, I got another question. This is just a side note before we get out of here today, but this is kind of important too. Guys, girls, write clean loans. Do not cheat. Do not cheat at all. Do not call something a primary residence when it's not. Do not screw around with anything. Do not cut corners. And right now you might feel like, oh, this would be the time to cut corners because Trump, well, he doesn't give a crap about any type of enforcement actions and he just wants a laissez-faire, hands-off free market. Well, he does. I think he does. Maybe to his detriment, I don't know. But he does. And right now, yes, they are actively talking about shutting down the CFPB. The White House Budget Director, Russell Vought, announced plans to close the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau within 2 to 3 months. Yikes. Contradicting the administration's legal stance. However, Vought may not have legal authority to close the bureau since it was established by Congress. Maybe he can't close the bureau, but you know what he can do? He could chop it at the knees. And they've already basically done that. But what is the consequence of doing this? Here's what we've learned is now that so most of the state regulatory enforcement agencies that govern all of us to some extent, for years since the Richard Cordray and Barack Obama administrations, have kind of had their hands off with what's taking place in real estate. Not with our OCC FDIC banks, but with our non-depository institution, our brokerages, like me and you. They've been more or less hands off. This is the job of the CFPB. And when Richard Cordray went in there, what did he do? Man, he came in here and he was just swinging the axe at anything that moved. So they said, hey, we don't need to do nothing. Clearly, these guys have this whole thing figured out. You could actually make this argument for what's taken place with real estate agents in the state of Missouri and the lawsuit that they just lost, which, as I'll say forever, is ridiculous. But what's taking place, guys, is as the feds back off of any type of regulatory enforcement actions in the mortgage space, the states are picking up the slack. And they're doing a job much like Richard Cordray did under the Barack Obama administration. They're going after folks and they're swinging that axe too. So even though we might perceive this to be a market where you can get away with things, trust me, this is the worst market to get away with things. Don't cut corners. You know, my old boss and mentor, Mike Soldati, once said, there is not one transaction that will make your career, but there certainly is one that will break your career. So do yourself a favor, go out there, call my team up. Let's do some stuff together. Let's get your business kickstarted in the right direction, and let's write some clean loans at good rates with great technology and a community of loan officers who crowdsource their solutions. Listen, guys, I hope this helps. I appreciate all of you to death. Feel free to leave a comment, hit a like, share this. Any comments that you send down here, or send me an instant message, whatever you need to do. My phone number is just riddled all over the place here. Reach out to me if you want to have a conversation about your business. With that said, you make it a great Monday and a great week. Oh, we're going to make it a great week because I'm going to see you every day this week, right? Right? I hope I do.